It's Wednesday, November 27, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The state-owned National Assistance Board has been ordered to pay a former employee more than $13,000 in compensation by December 31. The ruling was handed down yesterday by the Employment Rights Tribunal after it determined at a previous sitting that former relief home helper Sharada Walters had been unfairly dismissed by the NAB on February 6, 2014. The tribunal had undertaken to give its reasons for the unfair dismissal at a later date and had also deferred a determination of the remedies. Both matters were dealt with in yesterday's decision. But while acknowledging his client had won the case, a General Secretary of the Unity Trade Union, Senator Caswell Franklin, is still not happy with the remedies in the judgment. He told Barbados Today he may appeal what he called a bad and unfair ruling. The NAB has already filed an appeal in the local court. In delivering the unanimous verdict of the three-member tribunal, Chairman and retired High Court Justice Christopher Blackman, QC, said the commissioners decided to make an award of compensation after recognizing that the claimant's request for reinstatement or re-engagement would not be helpful to her in the circumstances of the case. Members of the Rastafarian community are not in favor of having to acquire a license from government to use marijuana for religious purposes. They argue that it is an insult to them to need a license to use what they say that God has put on earth for mankind. Parliament debated the Sacramental Cannabis Bill 2019 last Friday. Attorney General Dale Marshall said members of the Rastafarian community would be allowed to grow their own marijuana sufficient for their use in the precincts of their place of worship. They must also seek an exempt permit if they wish to use the sacraments at any religious event away from the temple. One Rastafarian, Mark Alexander, said he finds it difficult to accept that there is no hidden intention behind the move to allow the herb for sacramental use.
It's a worldwide thing. We got to take out the box. Barbados only even looking at these procedures and steps because bigger world do it. Europe, America, Canada, and then people. Otherwise, they'll be just following between the poetry that the bigger voices got to say. You know what I mean? We just in this here for years. Lupus is the cure, you know what I mean? And then when people come out and branch off and prove it to the world, they find a way to eliminate them. Because their ways is keep spinning, their business is to go on. You know what I mean? About shit, it's changing.
Up to 50 Scotiabank employees could end up on the breadline as a result of the sale of the bank's Eastern Caribbean operations. While not confirming the numbers or when the layoffs started, the bank told Barbados Today the restructuring was necessary and it has been discussing the changes with employees and union partners over the past few months. A statement from Scotiabank added that as a result of the completion of the sale, the bank will be restructuring its managing director's office in Barbados, particularly the centralized functions that supported the divested businesses. Scotiabank scaled down its operations earlier this month when it finalized an approximately $123 million deal with Republic Financial Holdings Limited, which operates Republic Bank. Scotia says the decision to restructure a portion of the Barbados market was not taken lightly, and it is committed to supporting employees throughout the process.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, investigations are ongoing into allegations of misappropriation of $500,000 at the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. National Security Minister Stuart Young addressed the matter in Senate on Tuesday. News of the alleged fraud broke earlier this week.
Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard wishes to advise that these monies do not involve any public funds. They were contributions from the men and women in the Coast Guard. However, the organization categorically denounces any type of fraudulent activity involving its members, and as such, the relevant authorities have been notified. Internal investigations have been ongoing, and if any such activities are proven, the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard stands prepared to take all available disciplinary actions.
And on the international scene, Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam has renewed her appeals for peace in the Chinese-ruled city, but she failed to offer any concessions to anti-government protesters despite a resounding victory for pro-democracy parties in local elections. More in this Reuters report.
Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam has made her first public statements on Sunday's historic elections. She told reporters on Tuesday the central government in Beijing has not asked her to take responsibility for the vote, where opponents of Chinese rule won by a landslide. She admitted the results highlighted frustration with her government among the public,
including deficiencies in governance, including unhappiness with the time taken to deal with the current unstable environment, and of course to end violence. So I said that we will seriously reflect on these views expressed to us and improve governance in the future of our work.
Democratic candidates in the Chinese-ruled city won almost 90% of seats in the district council election. That's more than triple the number from 4 years ago. Lam said she was pleased to report that the pro-establishment parties who did hang on to their seats will continue to serve the people. She thanked residents for orderly voting at the weekend, despite a volatile environment.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.